GR number 208566, Greco Antonius Beda Bellica et al. Versus the Honorable Executive Secretary. GR number 208493, Social Justice Society, SJS President Samson S. Alcantara versus Senate President Franklin M. Drilon and Speaker of the House of Representatives Feliciano S. Belmonte Jr. GR number 209251, Pedrito M. Nepomuceno versus Secretary Florencio Abad. In a decision promulgated today, the Court unbound voting 14-0-1, Velasco J. Lockhart, partially granted the three consolidated petitions challenging the constitutionality of the Priority Development Assistance Fund PDAF system. The Court, speaking through Justice Estela M. Perlas Bernabe, ruled that the court barrel system is unconstitutional. The scope of the Court's ruling is provided in the dispositive portion, which I will read. Quote, "Wherefore, the petitions are partly granted. In view of the constitutional violations discussed in this decision, the Court hereby declares as unconstitutional A, the entire 2013 PDAF article, B, all legal provisions of past and present congressional pork barrel laws, such as the previous PDAF and CDF articles, and the various congressional insertions which authorized legislators, whether individually or collectively organized into committees, to intervene, assume, or participate in any of the various post-enactment stages of the budget execution, such as, but not limited to, the areas of project identification, modification, and revision of project identification, fund release, and/or fund realignment unrelated to the power of congressional oversight. C, all legal provisions of past and present congressional pork barrel laws, such as the previous PDAF and CDF articles, and the various congressional insertions which confer or conferred personal lump sum allocations to legislators from which they are able to fund specific projects which they themselves determine. D, all informal practices of similar import and effect, which the Court similarly deems to be acts of grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction. And E, the phrases 1, quote, "and for such other purposes as may be hereafter directed by the President," close quote, under Section 8 of Presidential Decree number 910, and 2, quote, "to finance the priority infrastructure development projects," close quote, under Section 12 of PD 1869, as amended by PD 1993, for both failing the sufficient standard test in violation of the principle of non-delegability of legislative power. Accordingly, the Court's temporary injunction dated September 10, 2013 is hereby declared to be permanent. Thus, the disbursement/release of the remaining PDAF funds allocated for the year 2013, as well as for all previous years, and the Malapaya funds under the phrase, quote, "and for such other purposes as may hereafter be directed by the President," unquote, pursuant to Section 8 of Presidential Decree number 910, which are, at the time this decision is promulgated, not covered by notice of cash allocations, NCA, but only by special allotment release orders, whether obligated or not, are hereby enjoined. In similar regard, the Court also enjoins the release of funds sourced from the Presidential Social Fund under the phrase, quote, "to finance the priority infrastructure development projects," unquote, pursuant to Section 12 of Presidential Decree number 1869, as amended by Presidential Decree number 1993. Said funds covered by this permanent injunction shall not be disbursed/released, but instead returned to the general coffers of the government, except for the funds covered by the Malapaya funds and the Presidential Social Funds, which shall remain therein to be utilized for their respective special purposes not otherwise declared unconstitutional. On the other hand, due to improper recourse and lack of proper substantiation, the court hereby denies petitioner's prayer seeking that the Executive Secretary and/or the Department of Budget and Management be ordered to provide the public and the Commission on Audit complete lists, schedules, or detailed reports related to the availments and utilization of the funds subject of these cases. Petitioners' access to official documents already available and of public record which are not related to these funds must, however, not be prohibited, but merely subjected to the custodian's reasonable regulations or any valid statutory prohibition on the same. This denial is without prejudice to a proper mandamus case, which they or the Commission on Audit may choose to pursue through a separate petition. The court also denies petitioner's prayer to order the inclusion of the funds subject of these cases in the budgetary deliberations of Congress, as the same is a matter left to the prerogative of the political branches of government. Finally, the court hereby directs all prosecutorial organs of the government to, within the bounds of reasonable dispatch, investigate and accordingly prosecute all government officials and/or private individuals for possible criminal offenses related to the irregular, improper, and/or unlawful disbursement/utilization of all funds under the pork barrel system. This decision is immediately executory but prospective in effect. Close quote. Separate opinions were submitted by the Chief Justice, concurring in the result only, Senior Associate Justice Antonio T. Carpio and Associate Justice Marvic M.P.F. Leona.